Welcome to video podcast number 25. As you know, I just had a trip to Los Angeles where I was working with two clients for one-on-one, face-to-face coaching sessions. A lot of people have asked me about those. You can go to my website, directapproachdating.com, as one word, directapproachdating.com/coaching. As I've mentioned many times, I have three forms of coaching and consultations. At the lowest level, I have email consultations. At the medium level, I have Skype and telephone consultations. I only do telephone with clients that live in the United States. If you live internationally, I do Skype, either audio and video or just Skype audio. And for high level coaching, I do one-on-one, face-to-face coaching sessions. And yes, I worked with two clients on this trip to Los Angeles. And one of the two clients, he said a couple things and did a couple things that frustrated me a little bit, and I'll talk about that later on in this very video podcast. I want to always start off by thanking those who have supported me financially, either through patreon.com, my patreon.com supporters, and secondly, those who supported me through PayPal, and even most importantly, those who have supported me by purchasing one or more of my ebooks, one or more of my paperbacks, and one or more of my audiobooks. Yeah, I have to tell you, and I mentioned this in at least one other video podcast, I had my best month for audiobook sales specifically. Audiobook sales only. I had my best month in the month of May. And my royalty check reflected that big time. I ain't gonna lie, man. I was excited when I saw that check. Yeah, it was. I want to say, it was my biggest check to date. Starting with the day I first started doing the first royalty check after I first published my first audiobook, which was Mode 1. Mode 1 came out on July 31st of 2014. So almost just under 3 years ago. That was my first audiobook. My second audiobook came out in November of 2014. That was The Possibility of Sex. My third audiobook, which was Say It Again, that came out, outside noise, woo! Had to sneeze. I think, that might be the first time I've ever sneezed during one of my video podcasts. Okay. You see this flavor? This is my favorite flavor. It's called Shine for strawberry lemonade. I don't know if they're trying to phase out this flavor. Man, I cannot find this motherfucking flavor in any of my local grocery stores. I went to a grocery store just this morning. They literally had every single flavor on the Vitamin Water roster except for Vitamin Zero Shine. And my guy in Texas, Steve Dean Williams, fellow dating coach, he said he had the same problem. He said he went to something like 7 different grocery stores and couldn't find strawberry lemonade. And then I went on, I think, Target.com or Walmart.com, and they have it. You can order it for delivery, but it's like $2 a bottle or $1.75 a bottle. Man, I ain't trying to pay that. Because at my grocery store, I normally pay 88 cents to $1 per bottle. So Vitamin Water, man, get your act together, man. What's up with you got something against strawberry lemonade? That's my favorite. Obviously, it must be everybody else's favorite flavor since it's always sold out. And I love this stuff. Love this stuff. After this bottle, I only got 4 bottles left. I'm not a happy camper about that. I got some good news. I officially confirmed my participation in a men's conference that's been going on for 10 years. It's called the 21 Convention. The 21 Convention. I first heard about this convention back in 2012 from a dating coach and pickup artist named Sasha Dagame, who I used to collaborate with. He first told me about it in 2012. He's actually been a speaker, I think twice, at 2 of their events. And so, yeah, I got invited about a month ago, and I confirmed my participation just in the last week. So there's going to be a link in the comment section below. I'll have a link in the comment section below about the 21 Convention. I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's a 4-day conference. It's going to be Thursday, September 28th, Friday, September 29th, Saturday, September 30th, and Sunday, October 1st of this year in Orlando, Florida, here in the United States. Orlando, Florida. So there's a number of speakers. I don't know the exact number, but I want to say there's probably at least going to be 15 to 20 different speakers. A couple of them I'm familiar with, others I'm not. Like there's at least 2 or 3 speakers that I've actually interviewed on my Blog Talk Radio show before. A guy named Brent Smith. I've interviewed him, I want to say twice. He's going to be a speaker. A guy named Zahn Perrion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correct. Zahn Perrion. He's going to be a speaker. I've interviewed him twice on my Blog Talk Radio show. Rollo Tomassi. Rollo Tomassi, the author of The Rational Male. Matter of fact, not only is he going to be a speaker, he was the one, I have to give him a shout out. He was the one who actually gave me a recommendation to the creator of the event, founder of the event. His name is Anthony Dream Johnson. He's the organizer of the 21 Convention. And yeah, Anthony told me that one of the reasons he invited me to participate is because he got a high recommendation from Rollo. So I appreciate Rollo. Even though I'm gonna keep it real, I got to be lighthearted here with Anthony, and I got love for Anthony, but they say better late than never. But Anthony, I should have been invited to this conference about 3, 4, 5 years ago. I'm not gonna go into a long story of why I feel that way, but I think Anthony he knows, because we've shared some emails, we've exchanged some emails. Yeah, again, better late than never, but yeah, I feel, this is my ego talking, I feel like I should have been invited to be a speaker at the 21 Convention as early as 2011, 2012, and if not those 2 years, either 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. But anyway, I'm excited to be a part of the roster. Again, if you have any questions for me, you can write me at either YouTube at mode1.net, MODEONE.net, or coaching at mode1.net. Matter of fact, speaking of coaching, anybody who purchases a ticket to the 21 Convention, you automatically will get a 2-hour one-on-one face-to-face session with me. A 2-hour one-on-one face-to-face session with yours truly, Alan Roger Curry, during the 4 days of that event. So you can write me for more details. As you know, I said this the last video podcast, so technically I'm delaying it by 1 video. I said my very next podcast was going to be a paid content. Actually, I got some good news for a lot of you guys, particularly my international viewers and listeners. Now I noticed that with a lot of my paid videos, some guys live in countries where they just cannot gain access to my paid content videos, even if they are willing to pay for them. YouTube just has not made them accessible. So what I've decided to do with my very next video podcast, which is going to be what I call a basic introduction to the mindset of the wholesome pretender and erotic hypocrite. You notice, with the exception of one video podcast, a lot of my video podcasts that are currently paid content videos, initially they were free. They were free for at least a week, and some were free for at least 2, maybe even 2.5 weeks before I converted them into paid content. See, I can't do the reverse. You can convert a free video into a paid content video, but you can't convert a paid content video into a free video. So what I'm going to do with my very next video podcast, which again is a basic introduction to the mindset of the wholesome pretender and erotic hypocrite, I'm going to leave it for free for a minimum of 72 hours. So if you want to see that video without having to pay for it, then watch it within the first 3 days, within the first 72 hours after I post it. I'm probably going to upload that. What's today? Today is Thursday. I would say I'm probably going to upload that Monday morning. Probably going to upload that Monday morning. There's a chance it could be one day earlier than that, but more than likely I'm going to upload that one on Monday morning. And so I'm going to keep it free for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I'm going to make it paid. So if you don't see it in those first 3 days, you're going to have to pay money to see it. So that's what I've decided to do. And I'm mainly doing that for my international followers, because I've gotten so many emails and messages from guys living in certain countries that are actually willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay for it, but they just can't gain access to it. Well, actually, now that I think about it, see, now I'm changing already. I might upload it to my direct approach dating site and then make it so you can pay through PayPal. I'll keep you posted on that via the internet. So yeah, I'm being indecisive. If it's not free on Monday morning, then go to my site, directdatingapproach.com/video podcast. directapproachdating.com/video podcast. If you don't see that video or here on YouTube on Monday morning, then go there. Go to directdatingapproach.com/video podcast, and then I'll have it pay-per-view. We'll see. But I want my international listeners and viewers to be able to see that. So I already mentioned the 21 convention. Okay, now I mentioned at the beginning some of you guys, man, I know I got a lot of great fans, followers, supporters. I'll preface my comments by saying that. But I mentioned Steve the Dean Williams about the vitamin water. I was talking to Steve the Dean Williams recently, and We're talking about my most recent article on the Negro Manosphere. As a matter of fact, if you haven't checked that out, I'll probably put the link to that below. The link to my last article on the Negro Manosphere. Because, well, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But, you know, Steely D. Williams, he has a lot of audio he sends his clients that you can purchase. He has like MP3s, audios, and he has videos you can purchase from him. But on the downside, Steely D. Williams, he doesn't have any ebooks. He doesn't have any paperbacks. He doesn't have any hardcovers. He only has MP3 audios and MP4 videos. And so we briefly talked about that in a discussion related to my last article. And he said the thing I don't like about books is the table of contents. Because he said most guys, once they look at your table of contents, they just going to go to the chapter that they think is going to help them the most. And they're going to ignore all the chapters that they think are going to be uninteresting or not that helpful to them. And for the most part, I would agree with that assertion by Steely D. Williams. Because I've had I've had guys who have admitted that they've done that with my books. Like when Mo 1 first came out, a lot of guys went straight to the chapter on Mo 1. They didn't read the chapter on Mo 2, they didn't read the chapter on Mo 3, and they didn't read the chapter on Mo 4. They went straight to Mo 1. Matter of fact, one of the reasons why I came out with my book called Mo 1 Hardcore was because a lot of my followers at the time said, Alan, can you produce a book that just highlights chapter 6 and chapter 8 from Mo 1? They were like, you know, with all due respect, we don't really care about the chapters on Mo 2, Mo 3, Mo 4. Now, I went ahead and did it because I made some money initially off of that, among other reasons. You know, now shit, you can get that book damn near for free because it's on those, what's called those torrent sites. But, excuse me, burp number 1. You know I always got to burp during my video podcast. See, here's the thing, man. Let's say you've been having problems losing weight and you buy a diet and fitness book. If you go right to the chapters that you think are going to help you lose weight, you're doing yourself a disservice. Why? Because you're not going to understand why you keep getting fat in the first fucking place. That's what's up. If you skip through all the introductory chapters, you're not going to understand what beliefs that you maintain, what attitudes that you maintain, what bad habits you maintain that have contributed to you becoming fat in the first place. See, you got to understand why the problem exists before you can seek to solve the problem. Do a lot of you understand that? I think most of you understand that, but I think there's a good number of you who don't understand that. You got to understand why the problem exists before you can seek to solve the problem. And that's the thing with Mo 1, man. The reason why you need to read the chapters on Mo 2 behavior, on Mo 3 behavior, Mo 4 behavior, is so you can understand why you're not Mo 1. Matter of fact, I mentioned this, I think, in 1 or 2 previous podcasts. The woman who gave me my first major speaking engagement in Chicago, her name is Kimberly Jean Brown. When she first read my ebook, that was one of her assessments of my ebook before it became a paperback. She said, Alan, your Mo 1 ebook is both simultaneously extremely simplistic and extremely profound and complex. And I said, yeah, I think I've heard that before, but go ahead and elaborate and explain why you feel that way. And what she basically said was, she said, in terms of what advice you're giving guys, which is to be upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest about your desires, interests, and intentions, She said that part is pretty simplistic. That's not rocket science. That's not hard to, understand or comprehend. She said, but the part of your book to me that's very complex and profound is how you describe in detail what prevents men from being that way. In other words, she was referring to my chapters on Mode 2, Mode 3, and Mode 4. She was saying that the part where I describe all the beliefs, the attitudes, what I refer to as your social programming, the social programming that prevents men from exhibiting Mode 1 behavior, she said that was the aspect of the book that she found very complex and profound. And the reason I'm bringing this up, man, you can try to fool me, but I wrote the fucking book, man. I wrote Mode 1. So since I wrote the motherfucking book, I know, even if you try to lie to me and act like you read the entire book, I know you didn't by what you tell me or what type of behavior you exhibit. And I give one example, and this relates to one of my two clients I work with in Los Angeles. If you go back about 3 or 4 video podcasts, I did a video podcast talking about Mode 1 versus Mode 4. And I'm gonna rehash and repeat a lot of the stuff I said in that video podcast. But there's a lot of guys who think just simply being honest is representative of being Mode 1. And as I explained in that video podcast, it's not. Because the truth of the matter is, 3 of my 4 modes center around honesty in general. So just simply being honest is not representative of you being Mode 1. Mode 1, Mode 2, and Mode 4 all center around the idea of being honest with people, and more specifically men being honest with women. The only mode that has nothing to do with honesty is Mode 3. Mode 3 that's the only mode of my 4 modes that doesn't have there's nothing about Mode 3 that represents being honest. But Mode 1, Mode 2, and Mode 4 all center around honesty. They're different types of honesty though. To give you the rehash again, Mode 1 is when you are upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest as it relates to your desire for something, your interest in something, and your intentions to socially interact with someone, either on a professional level or on a personal level. That's Mode 1. So if I'm talking to somebody and I say, I want to go to the beach with you, that's Mode 1. I want to go to the party with you, that's Mode 1. On the flip side, when you're telling somebody your lack of desire, your lack of interest, your lack of intentions. So if I told that same person, I do not want to go to that party with you, or I do not want to go to that social event with you, that's Mode 1. So as it relates to women specifically, when you're telling women exactly why you're motivated to share their company in some type of romantic or strictly sexual manner, that's when you're being Mode 1. That's when you're being Mode 1. Is when you're telling women why you want to share their company specifically in a romantic and or sexual manner. That's when you're being Mode 1. Mode 2 is also being honest, but your honesty is expressed in a manner that is more cautious, more polite, more delayed, and more vague and ambiguous. That's Mode 2 honesty. Cautious, polite, delayed, and vague and ambiguous. And probably the one other mode that's most often confused with Mode 1, and this happened with one of my 2 clients I work with in Los Angeles, is Mode 4. For the last 20 years, I've always referred to Mode 4 as the evil twin of Mode 1. Because they're very similar in terms of their expression. Here's how they're similar, and then here's how they're different. Mode 4 also involves being verbally direct, like Mode 1. So both Mode 1 and Mode 4 involve you being very verbally direct with people. You could say they both involve you being upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest. And, I would say along with that, unapologetically honest. So those are the ways that they're similar. The difference between Mode 1 and Mode 4 has to do with the content of your honesty. And I would say, secondly, the vocal tone and vocal quality of your honesty. See, Mode 1, as I mentioned a number of times, when you Mode 1 with a woman, you're being straightforwardly honest in a manner that's calm, relaxed, smooth, seductive, charming. That's Mode 1. Mode 1 is not loud. So, like, let's say you were in a bar and you yelled out, "Hey, bitch, come over here so I can suck your titties." And then you turn to your buddy and say, "Yeah, did you check that out? Yeah, I was Mode 1 with that woman." No, you weren't. No, you were not. You might think you were, that was example you being Mode 1, but that ain't Mode 1, man. That's Mode 4. You see, that's what guys don't get. And a lot of guys confuse those two, man. That's not Mode 1. That is Mode 4. You might say, "Hey, well, I was telling this woman what I wanted to do. I was telling her I wanted to suck her titties." But you weren't smooth and seductive. And see, I had another YouTube host. He tried to debate me on that he didn't feel like being verbally smooth and verbally seductive should be an important and integral part of Mode 1. I'm the creator of Mode 1, so I say it is, motherfucker. I'm the one who created. You don't tell somebody who created a sandwich how they should create their sandwich. You don't tell somebody who created a certain type of smoothie what ingredients they should have in their smoothie. Part of being Mode 1, in addition to being straightforwardly honest, there's a minimum 2 other components to being Mode 1. And that's being confident. If you're straightforwardly honest, but you're straightforwardly honest in a nervous or non-confident manner, you are not being Mode 1. You're not. Number 2, smooth, relaxed, seductive. If you all loud and shit, I'll give you a perfect example. I've told this story probably at least a half a dozen times. But when I was part of this event sponsored by Sasha Daygang, the Direct Dating Summit, I was part of 4 of his events. One in London. That was the very first one. Second one was in Las Vegas. Third one was in Berlin, Germany. And the fourth one was in Manhattan, New York. And I remember when we went to one in Vegas, there was these guys who were fans of mine. And we were having some downtime. And they said, "Alan, can we impersonate you?" Burp number 2. I said, "Sure, only if it's a good impersonation." I said, "You guys haven't been around me and don't know me well enough, I don't think, unless you're going by what you saw on a video or something." So anyway, I think it was about 3 guys. And they each did what they called an impersonation of me. And each of them, when they did this impersonation of me, now, on one positive end was funny. All the impersonations were funny. But as far as being accurate or valid, none of them were. And the main reason why is because they were talking in these real loud voices. Like one guy, he had this really exaggerated black voice, what I call a shucking and jiving type voice. He was like, "Hey, baby, shit, let me slap that big old ass of yours and then bend you over doggy style and fuck you doggy style. Shit, hell yeah, baby." And this was a white guy talking like a brother. That I call that the exaggerated street brother voice, shucking and jiving voice. Now again, it was funny, but I looked at him like, where the fuck you get that? Is that supposed to be an impersonation of me? And he was like, well, yeah. And then two other guys did impersonations that was somewhat similar to that. I don't think they were as exaggerated with that black voice, but in terms of the volume of their voice, man, it was real loud. And then the second thing, they were standing far away from their female target. So I was like, when did you ever see me approach a woman like that? Either in person or in video. Please tell me when you saw me do that. And they all shrugged their shoulders like, well, actually, we didn't see you approach a woman just like that. But from reading your book, I just assumed, you know what they say about people assuming shit. And sure enough, I spoke for 2 days in that Las Vegas conference. I spoke for 2 hours on that Saturday and 2 hours on that Sunday. And during my Sunday presentation, along with my female assistant, her name was Natalie, I showed how I approach women and talk to women in a Mode 1 manner. And you should have seen the faces of the guys in the audience. It was almost priceless. They were sitting there like, they were like almost like combination of dumbfounded and in amazement. And matter of fact, a lot of the guys, after I concluded that presentation, came up to me. I had at least 4 or 5 guys that said, Alan, this second day presentation of yours was worth the price of the ticket to this conference. Just seeing you being Mode 1 with a woman, how you really do it, was like almost mind-blowing. Because again, a lot of them, and maybe I'll take some of the blame for not explaining it well. Matter of fact, this relates, if you notice in my newly updated version of Mode 1, that's on Amazon, that was actually #1 on Amazon a few weeks ago in the category of communication skills. If you notice, I changed the subtitle of my book. Because initially my book was called Mode 1, Let the Women Know What You're Really Thinking. Now my subtitle is called Mode 1, Whisper into a Woman's Ear What Is Really on Your Mind. So yeah, a lot of people might not caught that, but yeah, my newly updated ebook, which is available on Amazon, matter of fact, it has nothing but 5-star ratings. Now I only got like, I think 5 ratings right now, but all 5 of my Amazon.com ratings are 5 stars. I don't have any 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, or 4-star. Now watch, right after I say this, somebody's gonna be a hater and write some bullshit. But yeah, I changed that subtitle on purpose. Matter of fact, I mentioned this before. That's one of the reasons why later on I came out with my book, Ooh, Say It Again. Matter of fact, a little tidbit on Ooh, Say It Again that I used to mention on my Blog Talk radio show, and I think I mentioned it on one other video podcast. A lot of people assume because Mode 1 is my most well-known book and most frequently mentioned book, that it's my best-selling book. Actually, it's not. And that has actually surprised some people. Well, it depends on what version you're talking about, ebook, paperback, or audiobook. For example, now ebook, yes, Mode 1 has always been my best-selling ebook. So specifically ebook version, yes. Mode 1, from the time it came out, it has generally been my best-selling ebook every year. Paperback, between January of 2012 and December of 2016, December 2016, Mode 1 was my second best-selling paperback. Ooh, Say It Again, Mastering the Fine Art of Verbal Seduction and Oral Sex, AURAL, Oral Sex, was my best-selling paperback. And audiobooks, of my 4 audiobooks, Mode 1 is not my best-selling audiobook, although it's a close second. But ever since I came out with Ooh, Say It Again has been my best-selling audiobook. Matter of fact, last month, the month of May, which was my best month ever, my most sales were for Ooh Say It Again. And again, Mo 1 was kind of right behind it by maybe 100 sales. But Ooh Say It Again is my best-selling audiobook and has been ever since it came out. What does that tell you? What does that should send a message to you. What does that tell you? Particularly, that should send a message to all these people, not a lot of people, but for those handful of people who try to suggest that being verbally smooth and verbally seductive is not or shouldn't be an integral part of Mo 1. The fact that Ooh Say It Again is my best-selling audiobook says it all. Men, the number one thing that men want to learn from me, probably more than anything, is about how to be verbally smooth and verbally seductive, particularly as it relates to my one-on-one face-to-face coaching. Men don't pay me thousands of dollars to learn how to be honest. I mean, no. That ain't why people pay me. Because my one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions, they range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,600. And just about all my clients who pay me for my one-on-one face-to-face coaching is they want coaching as it relates to their body language, and they want coaching as it relates to regulating their voice, learning how to have a more high-quality voice and verbal delivery with women. That's the main thing I work with guys when I do my one-on-one face-to-face coaching. I mean, when it comes to just the concept of being more honest, shit, that's stuff I handle through email consultations or maybe Skype and telephone consultations. But I don't do one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions with guys just to concentrate on you need to be more honest with women. Shoot, that honestly, even though I would take the money if somebody offered, but that would almost be a waste of a client's money for them to pay that type of money I'm charging just to have me light a fire under their butt to encourage them to be more honest with women. And that's why I tell you guys, and I'm repeating it again, reiterating it again, and rehashing it again. Mo 1 is not just exclusively about being blunt with people, and particularly women. And it's not just about being upfront and straightforwardly honest with people, and particularly women. Again, if there's at minimum 2 other components that are just as important, is how confident you are. How confident is your verbal delivery with women? How smooth is it? Man, I can't tell you how many women tell me when it comes to the subject of dirty talk. That's why I'll give you a perfect example. God, I cannot remember this woman's name. She's either Asian or I think she might be even half black and half Asian. I interviewed her on, golly, her name is on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. Real attractive woman. She's based in Atlanta. Lovely, lovely woman. Anyway, I was interviewing this woman in Blog Talk, on my Blog Talk radio show. And we were talking about different things, and somehow we got on the subject of talking dirty to women. And she said, "Oh, I hate when men talk dirty to me. Oh, I hate that. It's a total turnoff." She said, "Alan, I know that's your thing. That's what you're known for." But she said, "I hate when men talk dirty to me." So no sooner than she said that, I started talking dirty to her. I said, "So you telling me you wouldn't want me to talk to you about licking on your pussy and sliding my hard dick in your pussy?" And she started going, "Oh." You know, she started making them sounds like she was definitely turned on. She was like, "Ooh, ooh." So then I asked her, I said, "Well, it sounds like you being turned on." And she said, "Well, you're different. Yours is a lot smoother." That's exactly what she told me. She said, "Your delivery is a lot smoother." And then we talked after the show, and she ended up expanding on it. She said, "Alan, your way of talking dirty to women is arousing because your verbal delivery is so smooth and seductive." She said, "Most guys, they just yell out X-rated stuff." She said, "That's not sexy. That's not arousing." And I've had like literally hundreds of women who have echoed her sentiments in that regard. Women don't like men yelling out sexual shit to them. That ain't no turn on to a woman. You ain't gonna get no woman's pussy wet yelling out shit. And that's what I told these guys in Vegas, man. You ain't gonna turn no woman on yelling out no X-rated shit. Like when I hear guys do that, first thing I think was, I say, damn, that shit ain't sexy. I've heard guys do that, man. Even here on YouTube a few times I've heard guys say shit to women that was sexually explicit, but it was all loud sounding and crass sounding and abrasive. That shit ain't sexy, man. I don't know who told you that. One of your friends or somebody told you that shit. That shit ain't sexy, man. I mean, you're probably gonna find 1 out of 100 women that might connect with you because you were talking loud to her. But I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you from years of experience, starting with my early 20s and now I'm 54. The vast majority of women, man, when it comes to dirty talk, they like dirty talk to be delivered with a calm, relaxed, smooth, and seductive voice. They don't like no gal. So anyway, going back to people confusing Mo. Okay, here was the issue with my client. I have my clients do these verbal communication exercises with a female assistant of mine. So he's working with one of my female assistants, this lovely young lady from the Dominican Republic. I ain't gonna say her name, but she's very attractive, very sexy. Anyway, I was having him do like role play, which is part of my one-on-one coaching. And at one point, they were doing this role play, and she said, "What do you think about my outfit?" And he said real abrasively, he said, "I could give a fuck about your outfit. I don't care about your outfit. I just want to fuck you." And she frowned, and then I went like this, like, time out. And I was like, dude, where the fuck did that come from? And at first he was like, what? Like, he didn't realize what he did wrong. He said, what did I do wrong? He said, you always say, Alan, to be honest, to be straightforwardly honest. So I was telling this woman straightforwardly that I don't give a fuck about what clothes she got on. I just want to fuck her. And I said, you really think a woman's going to get turned on by you saying that? And I just looked him dead in his eye. I was like, do you really, honestly, sincerely, do you think you're going to get a woman's pussy wet saying in a real harsh tone, I don't give a fuck what you wearing? And again, for the first few seconds, man, he was kind of unapologetic about it. Because he was basically like, he was trying to lay guilt on me. He said, well, Alan, your Mo 1 book says be unapologetically honest. So I was being unapologetically honest. I said, yeah, but Mo 4 is also about being unapologetically honest. But what's the difference between Mo 1 and Mo 4? And sure enough, he starts stuttering because he couldn't articulate the difference between Mo 1 and Mo 4. And that's when I was like, aha. I said, you didn't really thoroughly read my book, did you? And at first he attempted to almost lie and say, yeah, that's it. No, you didn't. I said, no, you didn't. Because right now, at this very moment, you're confusing Mo 4 with Mo 1. There's nothing confrontational about Mo 1. That's Mo 4 shit. There's nothing about having a harsh tone of voice that's involved with Mo 1. That's Mo 4 shit. When you say anything that's harshly critical of a woman, insulting to a woman, and blatantly and intentionally rude to a woman, that's Mo 4 shit, man. Antagonistic, confrontational, all that shit, man. That's Mo 4, man. That ain't Mo 1. Like, that's why if you already have my audiobook, Ooh, Say It Again, I have 6 verbal seduction stories in there. And the very first one, which I've talked about a few times on my video podcast, verbal seduction story number 1. You notice in that story, I didn't say that I was simply Mo 1 with the woman who I ended up fucking in that story. I basically admit and confess in that story, I said I was all over the place. I said basically I started off in Mo 2, then I went to Mo 4, Then I finally settled in mode 1. But the one portion where I was mode 4 with her, if you remember the story, some of you probably haven't listened to the mode 1 audiobook or even read the ebook or paperback version. But what happened was this woman, I was on a triple date. And for about the first hour and 15 minutes of that date, this woman was just treating me like a chump, treating me like a straight up beta male. She was acting spoiled, defiant, disrespectful. She wouldn't barely let me touch her anywhere, even on like her arms and shit. And so I left the apartment building I was in and went out for a walk, and she came out and started taunting me. And she was like, "Oh, poor baby, you having a pity party? Oh, poor baby." And this is when I went from mode 2 to mode 4. I turned around and looked at that eye. I said, "Bitch, shut the fuck up." Now see, some people might say, "Damn, that was mode 1. No, at that very moment when I said, "Bitch, shut the fuck up," that wasn't Alan Roger Curry being mode 1. That was Alan Roger Curry being mode 4. Anytime you got to use that type of harsh tone with a woman, you are not mode 1. That's mode 4. But yeah, I said, "Bitch, shut the fuck up." It's mode 4, man. Anytime you sound harsh or abrasive or angry or frustrated or bitter or resentful or loud, super loud, that's mode 4, man. That ain't mode 1. That's mode 4. And some of you guys need to let that, well, instead of just saying some of you guys need to let that sink in, some of you guys, if you don't have my books, you need to fucking get my books so you'll understand instead of thinking you know what mode 1 is about. I can read by certain people when they post in the comments section below. Some people talk about mode 1. I can tell just literally by what they say. I said, this person didn't read my book. He thinks he knows what mode 1 is about, but he don't really know what mode 1 is about. And even some people who own my book, whether it be the ebook version, paperback, or audiobook, I can tell by comments they make to me. They don't really understand what it means to be mode 1. Again, the most common thing is some people just simply think if you're blunt about anything you say and you're unapologetically, straightforwardly honest with anything you say, that automatically means you're mode 1, and it don't. Your vocal tone, your vocal quality, your verbal delivery is a huge, huge factor with mode 1. I mean, like, huge. Huge. I cannot emphasize that enough, man. It is huge. When I'm mode 1, man, I'm never making an attempt to be antagonistic with women. Now, I've been mode 1 with women, and I've had them become antagonistic and or confrontational with me. But that's a different story. And I'll talk about that in more detail when I do my next video podcast about dealing with wholesome pretenders and even more so erotic hypocrite types. See, I don't care if a woman becomes agitated in response to me being mode 1 and becomes a little cantankerous and antagonistic and confrontational in response to me being mode 1. I actually enjoy that shit. That's when I know I have them. That's when I know I got a bingo. Look me in my eyes. If you feel, understand the method to Alan Roger Curry's madness. There is a method to my madness, son. You better recognize, you better understand, you better learn. It ain't never about me being confrontational or antagonistic and all that other harsh shit. That don't work in my favor. It's about getting the woman riled up. You want the woman to be riled up. You don't want to be riled up. I did a whole Blog Talk Radio pie. If you go in my Blog Talk Radio archives, I did a Blog Talk Radio show. I forget what year. I think it was my next to last season. I did a Blog Talk Radio episode about one of my open forum discussion episodes. It was about never allow a woman to make you come out of pocket. some of my longtime listeners, you should remember that one. I did a whole episode. It was called Never Allow a Woman to Make You Become Too Emotional or Allow You to Become Out of Pocket. And that's the thing, man. You can't call yourself mode 1 if you coming out of pocket. If you allowing women to get you all like riled up, where your voice is all loud and you sound all argumentative and harsh and antagonistic and all that shit, that means you letting the woman get the best of you. You shouldn't ever sound that way. She should sound that way in certain instances, but you shouldn't sound that way. Under the category of someone affecting someone's emotions, when you mode 1 with women, it's okay for you to affect their emotions, but they should not be affecting your emotions. Remember that. They should not be affecting your emotions in a negative way. Because if they are, you among other things, that means you're not truly being mode 1 and you don't understand what being mode 1 is about. Think about that scene in Talk Dirty to Me with John Leslie when he was talking to that doctor. There was at least 3 or 4 instances where she was flying off the handle with him. You notice how cool, calm, and collected he was in the face of her criticisms and insults? That's why one of my phrases when I work with clients, I tell them, I said, never freak out on a woman freaking out. Never reciprocate theatricality with your own theatricality. You don't do that shit, man. You don't let no woman get you out of pocket. I'll give you another example. And this wasn't a woman I was trying to seduce or have sex with, but just to do with an interview. Going back to my Blog Talk Radio episodes, I interviewed this attorney named Sophia A. Nelson. And she came on my show and tried to criticize my Mode 1 principles and philosophies. And I let her say everything she needed to say, and then I gave her my rebuttal. And if you listen to my rebuttal, I didn't raise my voice. I wasn't like, hey, bitch, fuck you. That ain't what Mode 1 is about. Shit, you fucking bitch. God damn you. I can't believe you said that. I didn't go off on her. If you listen to my rebuttal, don't even pay attention to what I'm saying, but listen to the tone of my voice. Listen to it. My voice was very calm. It was very relaxed. It was very calm and it was very relaxed. You know the most ridiculous thing I heard somebody say in the last 2 to 3 weeks? Speaking on this subject of, people trying to present disagreements about the how important it is to be verbally smooth and verbally seductive. I had a guy say, I don't want to be verbally smooth and verbally seductive because I associate that with being disingenuous or insincere with women. Basically bullshitting them. Man, some of you guys crack me up, man. On a real tip, you crack me up. Explain to me like I'm a 5th grader what the volume of your voice and how non-emotional you are has to do with being full of shit. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. So you telling me that the only way you can be honest and sincere with a woman is to be loud and abrasive and have a harsh tone in your voice? But if you talk in a relaxed, cool, calm, collected, smooth type voice, that means you're automatically being dishonest, insincere, and genuinely full of shit? I've never heard that before in my life. And I'm dead serious. I've never heard that assessment or assertion in my goddamn entire life. The quality and tone of your voice and the volume of your voice ain't got shit to do with how real and authentic you are or how phony and insincere you are. I've said a lot of shit that was real with women, authentic, totally, brutally honest, but delivered it in a very calm, relaxed voice. Then I've said shit in my life that was full of shit with women in a loud voice. So I don't know where the fuck this person got that from. But I'm here to tell you, the quality and tone of your voice and the volume of your voice don't have jack shit to do with how honest you're being, how sincere you're being, how real and authentic you're being. It ain't got shit to do with shit. Final thing. My fellow YouTube podcaster, Black Gnostic Speaks, I think while I was in Los Angeles, did a podcast related to where my name was mentioned, related to the video podcast I did, where I told men to stop whining and complaining. And I stand by everything I say. Stand by everything I say. Oh, wait, before I get to this, just like I just talked about how ridiculous, burp number 3, how ridiculous it is for somebody to suggest that you can only be honest, sincere, and authentic if you speaking in a loud voice or a harsh toned voice. I want to say it was the same person. Guess what I got accused of? Somebody said, Alan, your books are not consistent with each other. Said, Alan, I gotta just stop paying attention to when people say these little nitpicking criticisms, man. But they don't agitate me as much as they amuse me, man. They're just fucking funny as fuck. This person said, Alan, your books are inconsistent with each other. They're contradictory to one another. He basically tried to say that my books, The Possibility of Sex and The Beta Male Revolution, are somewhat contradictory to the nature of Mode 1 and Ooh Say It Again. Because he said, in so many words, that Mode 1 and Ooh Say It Again center around attraction and seduction, but the possibility of sex and Beta Male Revolution center around a critique and evaluation of women's behavior. Oh shit. Fireworks time. July 4th weekend coming up. You just heard some fireworks. I don't know if my microphone picks that up. If somebody just laid out some fireworks. Here's the deal, man. There's nothing contradictory in my books. Nothing. Period. And anybody who was to suggest that there's anything contradictory in my books hasn't read my books thoroughly. Here's what would be a blatant contradiction in my books. If I came out with Mode 1 and emphasized being upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest about your desires, interests, and intentions, but then later on I came out with a book and said, hey, actually, no, you need to be more cautious, vague, and ambiguous when you express your desires, interests, and intentions to women. In other words, one book I'm saying be Mode 1, another book I'm basically saying be Mode 2. That would be a contradiction if I ever did that. And I don't think I ever would. But yeah, if I was to promote the idea of being verbally direct in one book and then promote the idea of being verbally indirect in another book, that would be a contradiction. But let me quickly analyze both my books that he said were contradictions. Possibility of sex. There's nothing I say in Possibility of Sex that's a contradiction to my Mode 1 principles and philosophies. Matter of fact, if anything, Possibility of Sex highly reinforces the notion of being Mode 1. Because what I'm arguing in that book is that if you fail to be Mode 1 with women, and you're not upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest with women about the fact that you want to have sex with them, then that's when you open the door for the women who I refer to as manipulative time wasters. And I go into detail describing the 4 different types of time wasters, and then in the second part of the book, I even talk about the 5 different types of women that you should avoid, period, which are gold digger types, highly materialistic types. Number 2, women who are willing to be your side woman or mistress, what I call wannabe man thieves. Number 3 would be drama queens. Number 4 would be women who are blatant misandrous and hardcore radical feminist types. And number 5 is women who just have a unfaithful and adulterous nature about them. So that's what the possibility of sex is about. Those groups of women, time wasters, and those 5 groups of women I just mentioned. But the main theme of that book is it is always better to be verbally direct with women rather than verbally indirect. Because when you indirect, that's when you're going to open the door for women to exhibit bullshit towards you. Bullshit behavior. So yes, in one end, I do criticize women who exhibit bullshit behavior. So this person who was saying my books were contrary, he's trying to say, Alan, you saying a lot of us guys are whining and complaining, but in your book, The Possibility of Sex, you're doing some whining and complaining. No, I'm actually not. No, if you think I am, then you don't really truly understand the concept of whining and complaining. What I'm doing is pointing out behavior to men that women exhibit so they will know how to quickly identify that behavior and either neutralize it and be able to counteract that type of behavior, or at minimum so that they'll know just to avoid dealing with those women behavior. That's different. In other words, I'm pointing out women's flaws and weaknesses in their behavior, their character, and their integrity for the sake of helping men readjust their own behavior. Because see, I'm all about fireworks. Knew not to do a video with fireworks around me. People start early. Today is June 29th. See, I'm all about you, my male followers and my male clients. If you read my original Mode 1 book, I talk about it in chapter 8 of that book. I say specifically, never concern yourself with what you dislike about women's behavior. If you don't believe me, go back and read either my 1999 ebook or my 2006 paperback. I say that clearly in chapter 8. I say never concern yourself with what you dislike about women's behavior. Because my attitude is, let's say your problem with women is that you think they're egotistical or narcissistic. Okay, my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? That's what I want to know. I don't care about if she's egotistical or narcissistic. I want to know, what are you going to do about it? Some guys say, oh, women are materialistic and they're gold diggers. Okay, yeah, true. What are you going to do about it? That's what I want. As a dating coach, that's all I care about. What are you going to do about it? Oh, man, a lot of women, man, they lie to men, they cheat on men, they commit adultery on their husbands, man. That's fucked up. Yeah, that's true. But my question again, what are you going to do about it? That's what I want to know. What are you going to do about it? Other than talk. Other than keep talking about the same shit over and over again. What are you going to do about it? Oh, man, some women are prudish and they want you to jump through hoops to get in their pants and get the pussy. That's true. That is true. But my question again, what are you going to do about it? That's what I want to know. As a dating coach, that's all I care about. Now, all these other people are... Fireworks. Damn. All these other people on YouTube... Again, I pointed this out before, and I'm going to point it out again. When I did my very first video podcast, what did I say? If you go back and listen to it, even though the audio quality is bad, the video quality is bad, because that was the one where I tried to do a live stream, and I failed miserably. But one of the things I said in that very, very first video podcast number 1, I said, unlike a lot of YouTube hosts, I am not on YouTube just to express random opinions about shit. Whether it be various aspects of women's behavior, the actions and behavior of certain celebrities and people in the public eye, current events, politics, sports. I'm not on YouTube. I'm a dating coach. I'm a professional dating coach. And as a professional dating coach, the only thing I care about is your behavior as a man. I don't give a fuck about women's behavior. I only talk about women's behavior, again, for the purpose of helping you quickly identify women who are either highly manipulative and or very sexually duplicitous. That's the main two areas of women's behavior I concentrate on. There might be a few other areas I'll touch on here and there, but my main two areas when it deals with women is the manipulative head games that women play with men and the sexually duplicitous nature of women. And again, I only talk about those things to help you quickly identify a manipulative time waster type or a wholesome pretender or erotic hypocrite type, who are both, those types are very sexually duplicitous. Because reciprocators and rejectors, those are the women who mean what they say and say what they mean. There's nothing duplicitous about them. There's nothing manipulative about them. Those women are effective communicators, the women who I refer to as reciprocators and rejectors. Their behavior is what I refer to as congruent. Congruent means that someone's actions, behavior, and body language is in sync with their words. So reciprocators and rejectors, they're congruent. Wholesome pretenders, erotic hypocrites, again, that's what I'm going to be talking about in my next video podcast, and manipulative time wasters, they exhibit incongruent behavior. Incongruent behavior. Those women are either extremely manipulative and or very sexually duplicitous. So anyway, going back to my main point, the possibility of sex does not, there's no content in there that contradicts Mode 1 or contradicts Who Said Again. Again, the main premise of that book is you need to always be direct with women about why you really want to share their company, because otherwise you're going to open the door for them playing a bunch of games with you. I've had women tell me that. Women love it when men are indirect and subtle and vague and ambiguous with their desires, interests, and intentions. They love. See, here's the funny thing about men. A lot of men think they're getting over on women by being very subtle, indirect, and vague and ambiguous. No. You might get over on a woman who's just super duper inexperienced with men and a woman who's naive. But I guarantee you, if you're dealing with what I call a savvy manipulator, shit, good luck. Savvy, manipulative, women who are highly manipulative, they want men to communicate with them in a manner that is very subtle, very indirect, and very vague and ambiguous. That's when they're going to get over on your ass. If you go and pay for my video podcast, when I talk about manipulative time wasters, I emphasize that. That's when women are going to get over on your ass. Matter of fact, I just left Los Angeles, man. Shoot, one of my clients was talking about that. He's like, damn, man, LA got a lot of manipulative type women. I was like, duh, no shit. LA, you could say, is arguably the national headquarters for highly manipulative and materialistic women. Shoot. And then, as far as the beta male revolution being some kind of contradiction to Mode 1 and Who Said Again, no. Again, beta male revolution, I wrote that to show, because some people have argued that it is rude to approach a woman and immediately proposition her for casual sex. And one of the reasons I wrote the beta male revolution, there was a few reasons. I couldn't target it to just one reason. But one of my, say, top 5 reasons was to point out that dating rituals have changed over the last 100 years. They've changed. See, in my father's generation, my grandfather's generation, then that would be a true statement. Like, nobody in my father's generation would approach a woman other than a low-class skank and proposition her for casual sex. I mean, you were liable to get slapped in that day and age because hardly any women were indulging in premarital sex or casual sex. That was considered extremely rude back in that day. Like prior to the 1960s and even more so prior to the 1950s. Yeah, to hit on women for premarital sex or casual sex was almost unheard of unless you were in some skanky bar or a brothel or something. But in today's society, women are fucking all over the place. I mean, shoot, most women are having sex before they get married and outside the context of marriage. And even outside the context of a long-term boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. So there's nothing rude or improper about a man hitting on a woman for casual sex. So anyway, that was one of the contributing reasons that motivated me to write The Beta Male Revolution, was to highlight that fact. And I would say even more prominently, what's my fundamental rule? Of all my various rules, advice, knowledge, wisdom, insight, what's like what I call the trunk of the tree? I call all the other pieces of my advice the branches, but the main thing I call the trunk of the tree is this simple golden rule. Never, as a man or as a woman, I wouldn't even limit it to men, I'll say women too, never, ever confuse the appeal of your sexual attention and companionship with the appeal of your non-sexual attention and companionship. You don't want to ever make that mistake. I would say of all the mistakes you can make in terms of your overall psychology and dealing with women, I would literally rank that as the number one mistake. Don't ever confuse the appeal of your non-sexual attention and companionship with the appeal, because those are apples and oranges. And that's one of the bigger reasons, if not the biggest reason, that prompted me to write The Beta Male Revolution. And see, a lot of men think if they're getting a lot of platonic attention and platonic enthusiasm from women, they'll say to themselves, yeah, man, I'm popular with women, yeah, because I got all these women inviting me to their backyard barbecues, and I got all these women inviting me to their parties, and they want to hang out with me at the bowling alley, and I got women calling me and telling me about their problems, and I got women inviting me to come and play chef and cook for them. Yeah. All that shit sounds good, but check this out. If you ain't getting your dick sucked and you ain't getting no pussy, all that attention you getting from those women don't mean jack shit. Okay? And you need to understand that. And that's what I point out emphatically in The Beta Male Revolution. You can be getting all the non-sexual attention from women in the world, but if you ain't getting no sexual attention from them, that don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. And on the flip side, there's women who will criticize you, call you an asshole, and call you a jerk and all kinds of stuff. But shit, those women will drop their panties quicker than you can drop a dime. Shoot. Man, I can't tell you how many women in my life called me some kind of name like, an asshole, jerk, a dick. I had a woman just past weekend in LA did that. A woman called me an asshole, and I think she called me something else. And then like 10 minutes later, we was fucking. Literally. We was fucking like about 10 minutes after she called me. She said, Alan, sometimes you could just be a asshole. You're just a dick. And like 10 to 15 minutes later, we was fucking. So, and on the female side, see, a lot of women think because a man wants to fuck them, that automatically means he wants to spend time with them non-sexually. And nothing could be further from the truth. Shit. I've had a lot of women that I enjoyed. If I had to give them a rating on 1 to 5 stars, there's a lot of women that I would give them a 5-star rating when it comes to strictly their sexual companionship, but their non-sexual companionship, I would give them a 1-star rating. And see, a lot of women do that with men. There's a lot of men and women are going to give you a 5-star rating when it comes to your non-sexual companionship, but they'll give you 0 stars when it comes to wanting to spend time with you sexually. Romantic, you hear me throw that term around, romantic companionship, that's when you got an equal balance of both. When you want to spend time, when you're equally enthusiastic about spending time with someone, both sexually and non-sexually, I say that means you have a romantic interest in that person. You enjoy spending time with them on both fronts, both sexually and non-sexually. That's what I call romantic interest. But strictly non-sexual interest, of course, that's called platonic interest. And strictly sexual interest, that's just simply called strictly sexual interest. I mean, fuck buddies. Friend, fuck buddies, casual sex lovers, whatever you want to call it. But that's my fundamental rule. Anyway, all that to say that two things. Number one, the possibility of sex and beta male revolution, there's nothing in those books that contradict my Mode 1 principles and philosophies. If anything, those two books reinforce the notion of being Mode 1 with women. Secondly, and finally on this whole, because again, some people in the comment section were saying, yeah, Alan, man, we heard you said that men whine and complain too much and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not backing down from that accusation. I do feel like a lot of you guys whine and complain about women's behavior too much. Dude, number one, hey, if y'all grown men, y'all can do what the fuck you want to do, okay? You can do what the fuck you want to do. But I'm telling you, and I'm warning you right now, if I see that shit in any of my comment sections, 90 to 99% chance, I'm going to delete that shit. If you come on my comment sections whining and complaining about various aspects of women's behavior, I'm going to delete you. And if you try to do it again, I'm going to block you as a user. Because I don't like that shit, man. Me personally, this is me, Alan Roger Curry talking. Nobody else's opinion but mine. To me, that shit is weak. And I said that in that previous video podcast. I think that shit is weak. That's like bitch shit, man. That's weak shit. Starting with my college days, man. I never hung around motherfuckers who whine and complain about women's behavior. Like if you befriended me starting with my early 20s and say we hung out and over 50% of your conversation was about complaining about women, dude, I would phase you out so quick your head would spin. I wouldn't hang around you no more. Cause man, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I don't know any guy who's a prolific womanizer or a ladies' man or a guy who's been highly successful with women who sits around whining about various aspects of women's behavior. I don't know any guy like that. I honestly, sincerely don't. The only guys who whine and complain about women's behavior all the time is guys who ain't getting no pussy on a regular basis. That's the only guys I know like that, man. I don't know any guy, and I'm dead serious here, man. I don't know any guy I've ever hung around in my life that got pussy like on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis that sat around whine. If anything, it was just the opposite. Most guys who are ladies' man, womanizer type guys, women are the ones who are always complaining about their behavior. It's the opposite. Like me. I'll put myself in that category, man. Most of the women I've dealt with in my life, I've had way more women who complain about what they don't like about my behavior than women I've dealt with that I complain about what I don't like about their behavior. Women are always complaining about my behavior. Probably if I had to pick the one biggest criticism is I'm not that big of a fan of spending time with women non-sexually. I was just talking about non-sexual versus sexual. Most women I deal with, unless we're in a serious relationship, I don't spend time with women non-sexually. You can say non-sexually, I'm MGTOW like a motherfucker. You know, MGTOW guys talk about going their own way and not interacting with women. Yeah, that's what I am non-sexually. Platonically, I'm a MGTOW motherfucker. And that's the number one thing women criticize me. They're like, Alan, you never give me any. Like one of the women I dealt with this weekend, she was criticizing me about that. She said basically, Alan, it seems like the only time you want to hook up with me is when I want to fuck you. Is when you want me to fuck you. Or when you want to fuck me, whatever. And I was basically like, and? I was basically like, and your point is what? See what I talked about not arguing with women? You notice? I didn't be like, oh, bitch, what the fuck you talking about? I can't believe you said that shit. After I just went to this event with you, I don't argue with women, man. And if I do debate with them, I'm going to have a relaxed voice about it. But yeah, man, I can see a guy. One of the things I said in Black Gnostic Speaks, BGS IBMOR, that's his YouTube channel. One of the things I said in his comment section, here's where I give a guy a pass for doing some degree of whining and complaining. If you're whining and complaining about a recent interaction with a woman, whether it be your wife or ex-wife, your fiance or ex-fiance, your girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, or some other woman, you feel like she misled you, like led you to believe she was one way, and then over a period of days, weeks, and months, it turned out she was a different way. That type of shit, I don't have an issue with men doing that. I don't have an issue with men doing that. So when I criticize guys whining and complaining, if you fall into that category, I don't have no complaint against you. If you're expressing a lot of harsh criticisms about women that you've actually been in relationships with, have had sex with, have at least somehow socially interacted with, I don't particularly have a complaint against that. But I was more so directing my criticisms at guys who are criticizing women that they've never even interacted with. Women who they've just kind of admired from afar or observed their behavior from afar, but they've never had actual conversation with and actual social interaction with. Why are you talking about those women, man? That's what I want to know, man. Why are you talking about women that you ain't never interacted with? Because my attitude is, if that woman ain't trying to suck your dick and give you some pussy, why are you concerned about her behavior, period? That's what I want to know. I want to know that seriously. Why are you concerned with any woman that ain't trying to suck your dick and give you some pussy? Why? Why? Let's take it a step further. If a woman ain't even trying to spend time with you platonically, like she has never expressed an interest in even spending time with you in a purely platonic nature, why in the fuck are you even examining that woman's behavior? Why are you even dissecting her behavior and offering a critique or evaluation of that woman's behavior? And she ain't even trying to spend time with you platonically. Why in the fuck are you even talking about a woman like that? Dude, if a son of mine was doing that shit, man, it would take every fiber of my body not to bitch slap him, man. I would never let no son or nephew of mine engage in that type of behavior without harshly admonishing him. Dude, my son would end up hating me, man, if he was to exhibit that type of behavior. I would be like, what the fuck is your problem? Dude, I don't concern myself with women who I haven't socially interacted with. If a woman ain't trying to give me no romantic attention and companionship, share my company in a strictly sexual attention and companionship, I don't give a fuck about them, man. And specifically, and then I'll wrap up, man, is you guys, black men, specifically always criticizing black women, and especially those black men who try to say that white women are so much better. Yeah, here's what's funny to me. I've heard guys try to suggest that white women make better romantic and sexual companions to black men. But then when you ask some of these men, how many white women have you dealt with? They'll say, oh, actually, I ain't never dealt with a white woman. What the fuck are you talking about? How the fuck you know about white women's strengths and flaws and you ain't never dealt with white women or Asian women or Hispanic women? Man, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I've dealt with women of all races. They all got their strengths and flaws, man. Some of you motherfuckers, all you dealt with is sisters. Ain't got the nerve to say that Asian women or white women or Hispanic women are better companions, and you ain't never sniffed the pussy of a non-black woman in your life. Hashtag 21 convention. Hashtag 21 convention. Mo one. Go out and make some shit happen and quit whining and complaining. I'll talk to you on Monday morning.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Who's the king?
Alan Roger Curry.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Curry. The king.
The king.
The king.